Welcome to Will It Build, the series where I take your builds from my YouTube comments and Discord server and put them to the test to see if they are the real deal. If it's solid, then I'll gift you 1,000 silver, and if it's really something special, you'll be featured in a dedicated build video for your submitted build. So comment yours below so we can answer the question, will it build? All right, we've got Will It Build episode 24. We're gonna do another emblem giveaway in this episode. I think we're just gonna do an emblem giveaway with every episode now because you guys like them so much. I'll tell you how to enter a little bit later in the video because I'm pretty excited for this one. Void Titan one. Don't do a ton of Titan Will It Builds because I feel like there's not a ton of Titan variety, but I do know that the Severance Enclosure exotic chest piece recently got a pretty decent buff, and I'm curious to try it out. So we have something from Slepner530 where they say, are you an Invis Hunter main? Yes, I am an Invis Hunter main. Stuck plain Titan. Well, here's the perfect Titan build for you. The Severance Enclosure Invis Titan, which the words Invis and Titan being in the same sentence are usually kind of interesting. So that's definitely what drew me to this one. I'm kind of curious. So they say the subclass is Void, obviously, so we can get Invis. Aspects are Bastion and Controlled Demolition. So we'll go ahead and slap those bad boys on. Bastion and Controlled Demolition. Bastion, remember, is where you put your barricade down, you go ahead and get an overshield, you give it to yourself and your allies, and then Controlled Demolition, hitting a target with a Void ability or Volatile Explosion makes them volatile. Further damage to a volatile target causes them to explode, and you get health and give health to nearby allies when volatile targets explode near you. After that, we've got the fragments and Obscurity, Persistence, Cessation, and Expulsion. They're saying Expulsion is a flex fragment, so you can swap that out for something else if you would like. I'm going to make sure to keep an eye on that fragment slot to see if we can maybe do something a little bit better than that, because for those who don't know, Echo of Expulsion makes it so that Void ability final blows cause targets to explode, and I always find that this fragment isn't particularly incredible in endgame content because that explosion doesn't do a huge amount of damage, so we might look to get an alternative option for this. Like, you know, like always, we'll test it out, we'll see how it goes, and we'll go from there. After that, we have got Cessation, where finisher final blows create a burst of void damage that causes nearby combatants to become volatile, and defeating volatile targets creates a void breach. Remember, a void breach is that little pickup that we can do to get a chunk of class ability energy back, which will be nice. It'll allow us to use Bastion a little bit more. Then also got the Echo Persistence, where void buffs applied to us have increased duration. Specifically, I'm imagining it's going to be the invisibility and overshield for this build. More invisibility, more overshield sounds good to me. And then what I'm assuming is going to be one of the main parts of this build, this is how we're going to get our invisibility in the first place, is the Echo of Obscurity, where finisher final blows grant invisibility. Something I'm already noticing here as well is we get 10 intellect here and 10 recovery here, so that's kind of cool. As far as the abilities, they say the rest of the build is personal preference, but a melee version could be Towering Barricade, Strafe Glide, Shield Throw, and Suppressor Grenade. So we'll just go with Shield Throw, Suppressor Grenade. We'll go with what they recommend, Towering Barricade. We'll give it a go. As far as the armor mods go, helmets, we have a Surge mod and hands-on. So I'm assuming they don't recommend any specific weapon types. However, because we are doing a build that is all about volatile, I'm assuming. No, that wouldn't matter actually, because we're not getting volatile rounds in any capacity, so we don't necessarily need void weapons. I guess we can really run whatever we want when it comes to weapon choice. So I think one of the big parts of this build is going to be trying to understand what weapon. Oh, they recommend some exotics down here actually, I'm just seeing right now. So we'll maybe look at those in a bit. First, I want to get the armor mods on though. We got a Surge mod and hands-on situated. Also need to get our Severance Enclosure on, which by the way, Severance Enclosure, for those who don't know, I actually am not 100% sure what the new version of it does. Powered melee final blows unleash a damaging explosion. Finishers and final blows against more powerful targets increase the radius and damage of the explosion. So I'm guessing what we're going to be kind of doing is running around chucking our abilities at everything and doing finishers on everything to go invisible with the finishers and make explosions off of, you know, every enemy that we throw an ability at. On the helmet, they say Surge mod. I'm assuming they mean Siphon mod. And they also say we're going to want hands on. So let's go ahead and get hands on on here real quick. And then for our siphon mod, I don't know exactly what we're going to run. We'll put a kinetic siphon in there as a placeholder for now, until we understand what element of weapon we're going to want to be running. As far as the gloves go, we've got momentum transfer and heavy-handed, so we're playing a lot into melee final blows, so we'll get that on. The momentum transfer, causing damage with a grenade reduces your melee cooldown. Cool. For the severance enclosure, resistance mods, we'll go ahead and do the typical one of each, and then we'll slot in, I don't know, resilience mod right here, because why not? On the legs, we've got better already, recuperation and invigoration. That sounds like a lot of healing. We're doing 2 different healing mods. Recuperation's going to give us a chunk of HP when we pick up an orb, plus better already is going to begin our health regeneration. I feel like using both of those at the same time is a bit overkill, but we'll see as we go on. Also got invigoration, so we can get a little bit more melee cooldown every time we pick up an orb of power. And then on the class item, proximity ward, 1-2 finisher, and outreach. So I think that's a lot of armor charge finisher mods, if I'm not mistaken. I know outreach is going to give us our melee ability when we use our class ability, but we are also going to have 1-2 finisher, proximity ward. So gain a powerful overshield while performing your finisher, and finishers restore melee abilities, consumes 3 or more stacks of armor charge, granting additional energy for each charge consumed. That seems like a lot of armor charge consumed just to get our melee. So is this saying that we need a minimum of 3 armor charge stacks when we do the finisher to get our melee ability back? Like if we only have 1 or 2 charges, does it just not consume them and we don't get our melee back? Because that seems 3 armor charge stacks just to get 1 melee back on a finisher seems like a lot. So I'm wondering if there's some other ways we'll be able to prioritize getting our melee back a little bit more quickly, but we'll see. Fashion's looking super nice, by the way, if you guys want to copy the fashion. Of course, I'll let you take a little peek at it right there. The cowboy hat's looking absolutely stunning. I like it a lot. The idea of the build is to use finishers to nuke the room with Severance Enclosure while getting invisibility to run up to other low HP targets that survived the nuke and nuke the room again. Other than the aspects, most of the fragments, and arguably proximity ward, most of the mods are flexible. Okay, so I guess we can kind of work things around if I have an idea where I think maybe we'll have a little bit of a better version. They also say you can swap out expulsion for any other fragment, like starvation for devour, leeching for melee regen if you need more survivability. They only picked expulsion because more explosions and hoping the invisibility and overshields would be enough to keep them alive. I like where they're going right here already, considering trading expulsion for starvation. I feel like devour is so ridiculously strong, not only for the fact that you get 100 HP on every single kill, it makes your survivability go through the roof, but also because every kill gives you grenade energy, so we have more grenade uptime for suppressions and to proc our momentum transfer more often, to in turn be able to have more melee abilities. So like I said before, I was kind of already looking at swapping out expulsion. We're going to start out with it because it's the one they recommended, but I see us switching to starvation probably pretty quickly. They also say they highly recommend proximity ward just so you can get the finisher off without a stray bullet killing you while you're at 1 HP. Not sure how necessary that's going to be, but we'll see. And for exotics, they recommend, but not necessary, Heart Shadow or Rat King. Heart Shadow lets you invis on command with your heavy swing, but will take up your heavy slot, which I don't love. Rat King can let you use a proper long-range heavy weapon for boss damage, but may be harder to give you invis, as even red enemies will be tankier to get the final blow, even with a sidearm. They aren't mandatory, but we can try them. So we'll try and pull them over just to give them a go. Everything else we want to be running, I don't really know what element I want to go with, so I suppose we can just maybe try out some void stuff and build into a void power fantasy a little bit. Let's make sure we get our Rat King over. I don't even know if I have Heart Shadow. Heart Shadow. Heavy attacks made with full sword energy turn you invisible and fire exploding void projectiles. And then Shot in the Dark, remaining invisible grants this weapon increased damage for a brief duration. Hitting a target with this weapon's projectiles while Shot in the Dark is active weakens them. So good to know. Although I feel like most people don't have Heart Shadow, so we're going to try to not invest too much attention into that. I kind of want to try out the Rat King to begin with, because just sounds interesting. Let's pull over some other void stuff. Can maybe go the Null Composure Fusion Rifle, perhaps? And then maybe our Taipan, so we have a little bit more long range options. I don't really know. Oh yeah, since we have the Rat King on, we also need to be sure to go ahead and throw on an appropriate siphons. We actually already have kinetic siphon on, so we're good to go in that regard. That actually still leaves us room for a harmonic siphon as well, so might as well throw it on. That'll help out our null composure and our type end. Why not? Also, big thanks to Essex and Harrison for helping me out with this coil run. They're hanging out in the live stream right now. We record these all live on stream, twitch.tv/Mactics. So, okay, so first things first, I want to understand exactly how Severance Enclosure works, because I've never actually used this exotic, and I want to get a feeling for how big these explosions are. Initially, we're going to meet some Screebs. So if I chuck my shield at that dude... Whoa! Did the explosion, like, chain? It looked like the explosion had, like, almost a domino effect there, if that makes sense. Okay, so we're getting weak, so we can throw down our shield because we get Bastion. Get a finisher on him, which will make us go invisible. I will say, already, the Rat King is not feeling particularly potent. All right, so wait, I want to test this, like, chain reaction theory again. So if I throw it at that guy... okay, tough to tell right there a little bit. I do go invis here. So the idea they said was to just run in and do finishers all day long. Whoa. And then if I do a finisher on this guy, so every finisher I go invisible, and the finishers make the massive explosion because of Severance Enclosure. Okay. So is the entire point just kind of throwing your melee ability at stuff when your melee ability is available, and then when your melee ability is not available, you just run in and do finishers instead to get Severance Enclosure to go? So I'm trying to get this guy weak so I can do a finisher. Throw the shield. Okay, so if I do a finisher on him, that should blow everything up. Did a sizable chunk of damage to this dude. Cool. And finish him. That'll blow that guy up. Okay, so it's kind of, let's go invis, finish a dude that blows everything up, and that's pretty much the idea. This build seems very reliant on having melee, on having your melee up, which makes me wonder, is Monte Carlo a viable option for this build so that you can throw your shield more often to go ahead and make those explosions happen more frequently? I mentioned earlier in the video, right at the beginning, we were going to do an emblem giveaway for a Draconis Tetrachroma emblem. Let me know in the comments below what weapons you think would suit this build the best. As long as you're subscribed to the channel and you like the video, I'll pick my favorite one. I'll reply to that comment and we'll make sure we get you that emblem. Okay, so let's continue. I want to get Fisher on this guy. Maybe get a suppressor grenade on these dudes. All right. I do love. I'm always a sucker for Echo of Obscurity. So I'm down with that. So if I throw a shield, yeah, so this is an ad clear demon, for sure. But I think already I'm gonna kind of want to try a bit of a weapon switch up. Because the two problems that I'm currently having is problem number one, we don't have a reliable enough way to get into close quarters with enemies to be able to get finishers on them safely. And problem number two is I feel like our melee ability isn't up as frequently as I would like it to be. I know we have stuff like the 1-2 finisher where we get our melee back, but I don't really think we're proccing that frequently enough. Alright, that dude's toast. I have a feeling that this is one that we're going to do a couple of tweaks on to see if we can get it into as best of a spot as we can possibly get it into. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change our weapon setup a little bit. I'm going to look around here. I know I have it somewhere because I do want to stick with Void. Looks like I actually need to infuse this. So I think, yeah, I think we go Monte Carlo. So we have our melee ability up as much as humanly possible. I think we go a disorienting grenade launcher. So I've got my truth teller right here. I'll infuse it real quick. Disorienting grenades. Don't have any upgrade modules. And then I'm going to switch our exotic over to Retrofit Escapade. The only other tweak I want to make right now, I don't want to mess with any of our mods currently, although I do think I am going to come back to change a few of them in a little bit. Only other thing I want to do for now is I want to drop this Echo of Expulsion. Like they said before, it was in the flex slot. You can kind of go with something else. I really do think this would be significantly better with the Echo of Starvation, so you can have Devour up much more frequently. Devour's way too good to pass up on. Gives us way more suppressor grenades, allows us to proc momentum transfer more often, and obviously that 100 HP on every single kill, it's going to make it safer to get in and out of fights. The Expulsion, you're not really noticing the explosion from Expulsion, which explosion and expulsion sound really similar, I'm just now noticing, but you're not really feeling the effects of the Echo of Expulsion because you're already having such a massive damaging explosion from Severance and Closure. Like the tiny one that Echo of Expulsion is giving you, not really making much of a difference. So we're going to go ahead and swap that over to Devour. It's too good of a fragment to pass up on. I'm also wondering too, would you potentially want to go, instead of Ward of Dawn, the regular Sentinel Shield Super, so that you can take more advantage of powered melee final blows and, you know, the supers being thrown and whatnot? Especially in a situation where you already have a Well of Radiance Warlock. You don't really need the weapon damage buff from having Ward of Dawn and Weapons of Light. I'm going to try this out with the super as well. They didn't specify which super we should use, so I want to give it a go with that super. So now, if you look at my melee ability, we can have it up much more frequently, get those Severance and Closure explosions. Okay, let's scooter on over here. And then here, that disorienting grenade launcher is perfect for these situations, because then I can just blind all these guys, get one of them weak, and then finish the weak one, and then everything else that's next to him just explodes, because of the Severance Enclosure. And then we finish him, go invisible with the Severance Enclosure, then I can run over to these guys, and do the same exact thing. Shoot him a little bit. I'm starting to see how this is going. Okay, so the entire idea is, okay, get an enemy weak, get the finisher on him, go invisible. The finisher will do the big void explosion, make everything else a little bit more weak, and then you can just rinse and repeat. And then if you're in a situation where you aren't invisible, you just shoot the disorienting grenade launcher, and then ta-da, nothing can shoot at you. You can get in safely for the finisher. Boom. And pop, and everything dies. And the nice thing is that the explosion from Severance Enclosure, even if it doesn't kill nearby enemies, it does enough damage to also make them finishable. So you're just kind of spamming finishers on repeat. Like this guy right here. Whoa! And then we'll hit him with the disorienting GL, so he can't do anything. Maybe a little shield, maybe a suppressor grenade. I'm just not realizing, I think the reason they recommended the suppressor grenade is so that they have a second way, or I guess that was their original way, to accomplish what we were doing with the disorienting grenade launcher, where you can throw the suppressor grenade at a pack of enemies so that they can't touch you, so you can run up to safely finish them. Ogres are like onions? It's been too long since I watched Shrek. I gotta go watch Shrek again. Okay, so we got a volatile dude. By the way, Apple, you better include that in the edit. Okay, chuck the shield. That'll blow everything up. Throw our suppressor grenade. Nice. You're finishable, so I can go invis. Make all your other friends weak. Okay, maybe not that weak. But it's okay, because I got my blinding GL. Make a little thrall weak. I'm noticing the Severance Enclosure explosion seems to do really poor against enemy shields. It seems like against unshielded enemies it does a decent amount of damage, but it seems like against shields it does pretty much nothing. Just see what happens. Are they blowing up from Severance Enclosure? I can't really tell. I honestly can't really tell if they blew up from Severance Enclosure or not. This dude is way too close. Alright. The retrofit escapade. And I want to kill some of these scions to hopefully get my melee back. There we go. There's that ding. Full melee regeneration. Oh, there we go. There's the explosion we were looking for. Then we can get the picture on this guy, go invis. Perfect. How's the super damage? It's okay. Nothing incredible. Did what we needed it to do. Alright, like I said, this was going to be one that we were going to tweak a little bit as we go. As I'm playing, I'm noticing that this 1-2 finisher and the proximity ward are not really doing anything for me. I know on paper they make sense, but I really don't feel like they're getting enough utilization with this build. So I feel like we can look to swap them out for some other stuff. I like having the outreach because, you know, I like getting our melee cooldown back a little bit. But here, I would love to invest a little bit more into orb production so I can get Devour more often. And so we can get some more armor charge stacks. So I think we're going to go with Reaper here. And then maybe Powerful Attraction here so we can scoop up all nearby orbs. That basically makes it conceptually so that when we cast our class ability, as long as there is an orb somewhere in the vicinity, we automatically get a full HP heal because it'll scoop up the orb, which will give us Devour, which gives us a big heal whenever we acquire it initially, or obviously get a kill whenever we scoop up an orb thanks to the Echo of Starvation. I also don't really think that we're needing these right here anymore since we're going with Starvation. We don't really need these at all because we're going to get 100 HP every time we pick up an orb from the Echo of Starvation because they'll either give us Devour or refresh that Devour cooldown, which again will heal us as well. So we don't really need either of those, which means here on the boots, we're allowed to now invest in something else. Maybe, perhaps, I don't know, we can go with some surges to buff up our weapon damage. Maybe we do something like 1 kinetic for the Monte Carlo, and then we can maybe go Void to match our heavy weapon and our Truth Teller. And I'm liking what else we got. Here's kind of the spread we're working with right now. Obviously, if you're using a different element of weapon, you do not have to use Void for this build. If you're using like solar weapons, for example, you can do a solar weapon surge if you wanted to. I'm really just doing the Void weapon surge so I can match my heavy weapon, get some bonus damage on there when I'm charged with light. Trying to get my melee ability back. I also want to get this down so we have a little bit of cover. Nice. And then I want to get a finisher so I can go invisible and start doing my big explosions to everyone. I see a finishable target up here as well, so we'll do the same thing. And my hope is that I would make something else finishable, but I didn't, so I'll just shoot the blinding GL that stops anything else from attacking me. Uh-oh. Oh, too much damage. And boop. There we go. Get one guy weak. Invisible plus explosion. And let's do the same thing to this guy. Boop. Let's get a suppressor grenade down. This wyvern is cheating. He was suppressed and he's still using an ability. If that happens to me in PvP, I'm toast. Yeah, see right there, that's probably the situations that proximity ward is for, and I still really didn't feel like I needed it at all to reliably survive. I will say that the damage is starting to feel pretty underwhelming at these higher levels of content. See, like right here, this Minotaur, pretty much, very little happened to him. I don't know. Let's go ahead and take him out. Okay, my goal is going to be to stay invisible for as much of this fight as humanly possible. Finish that guy. And then suppressor grenade, throw a little shield. Disorienting grenade. Make him finishable, please. There we go. Invis. Shoot a little bit of that right there. Going invis on a Titan feels wrong but at the same time feels really right because, like, you know, it feels good to break the rules. And spank that dude. Oh, my bad. Absolutely wail on the Wyvern's crit spot. Oh, lost interest. All right, let's go ahead and let's get a super on him. Yeah. Maybe you might be better off on Bubble, especially like once you get to the end game stuff. I don't really know. I might hop back over to Bubble. All I know is I want to keep finishers on all these guys. Fun. Ooh, I'm invisible. Can't see me. Get my finishable target. Blow up everything else. And then repeat the process. This feels... It's one of those builds where, you know, you really need to be in ad dense environments. But if you are in an ad dense environment, it feels really awesome. Alright, perfect situation. There we go. Alright, let's start getting these finishers. Oh! Nice! Perfect timing. Pick up this to get Devour. Then maybe shoot that. Throw that. Nothing can see me. Perfect. Yep. Now we're getting our chain going. Explosion makes that guy finishable. That guy exploding hopefully made someone else finishable. Perfect. There we go. Butter this guy up. Another explosion. Yeah. Okay. This feels awesome in ad dense situations where you just get to spam finishers and go invisible and just make every single thing explode. Boop. Okay, we're gonna use press grenade there, throw a shield there. Okay, what else? Who's next? Ooh. Okay, proximity ward might have been good for that situation. I cannot lie. But, I mean, we still lived. So, I think it worked out alright. I think it's so funny that every time you do the big explosion, all the enemies just get, like, popcorned up into the air. Oh, yeah. See what I mean? The enemies get they get trampolined up into the air. Okay, let's get blinding GL in there. Oh, this is perfect. Yep, that is exactly, that is a screenshot picture perfect example of what this build does. Want to see me do it again? Whew. On our way to the final boss, last one. And Divine Aki, thank you so much for the 10 gifted subs. Divine, we're going to make sure to include those in the video, by the way. So I appreciate you coming in and dropping those. Okay, we're in a little bit of trouble here. I think I'm frozen. Let's drop Bubble. If I accidentally suppress myself with a suppressor grenade, does my bubble go away? No, it does not. Why did I think that was a thing? Start shooting these guys to get a melee ability back with Monte Carlo. I'm hoping this guy teleport. Okay. Not that close. Absolutely cook him with this. We also have 3 stacks of armor charge, so we're getting that DPS bonus from our surge mods. The tracking on the shield is abysmal. I'm not gonna lie. Almost makes me wonder if shoulder charge would be better. You know what? Hold on a second. Give me my melee ability real quick. Obviously, the concern about shoulder charge is that it's significantly more dangerous. You don't have a ranged option. So the shield probably would be better, even though its tracking is absolutely atrocious. So is shoulder charge a better option? Maybe not, but like, you know. You know that's more fun than throwing the shield. Woo! See ya. Ooh, okay. I was expecting a little more damage, I'm not gonna lie. Oh, I need to get into this thing because of pervading darkness and whatnot. Okay. We're just... No! Wait, pretend like, oh, yep. Last frame second, I know his health bar had disappeared, but he would have came back to life if I didn't shoulder charge him right there, So, will it build? Absolutely, yes. I mean, it's probably not incredible in the damage department, but in terms of utility, in terms of, like, its ability to crowd control and disable a bunch of enemies, Titan invisibility spam power fantasy build that just kind of bounces enemies all over the place, that's fun. I like that. It's very different. It's unique. It's unique to Titan. That's not typically how Titans play. Weapon loadout that I ended up really loving. Monte Carlo felt incredible for always having melee up. Disorienting grenade launcher really helped to get into the fight and get those finishers a little bit more safely, along with the suppressor grenade as an alternate option. And then, of course, heavy is kind of dealer's choice. Mods, we definitely switched up. I didn't really feel the need to have 1-2 finisher or proximity ward, so I ended up going some more orb-based mods so we can get some more armor charge stacks for some weapon buffs through some weapon surge mods. And then in terms of the subclass, shoulder charge was fun, but I do think shield throw is probably a better option. Make sure you roll with Echo of Starvation on this instead of Expulsion. Devour is just too powerful of a buff and brings too many things to the table to go up and pass on it. So will it build? Absolutely yes. If you want me to try out your build, make sure you submit it in my Discord server linked in the description and the Will It Build channel to have a chance to be featured in one of these videos and win 1,000 silver. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. As always, have a great day.